was always the only nigga in a room filled with white kids. I see not much has changed. I have known I was a black child as early as 4 years old. Looking around my private school classroom, I felt my difference, that something was askew, like a wooden table with a short leg. I was just somehow off. Even as a baby, I knew that my value was not that of my classmates. The words, "I'm not right," beat steadily alongside my heart. I'm not right, I'm not right, I'm not right. But before you get your white guilt all in a twist, don't feel bad for me. My upbringing resembled that of the Huxtable kids. I dressed like Denise, read like Sandra, was a sweet-talking baby like Rudy, and fuck, what was Vanessa's purpose? She seriously was like the blackest of the black sheep. My father was a Rhodes Scholar, which is an international postgraduate award for non-British students to study at the University of Oxford. As elaborated on his will, Cecil Rhodes' goals in creating the Rhodes Scholarships were to promote civil-minded leadership among young colonists with moral force of character and instincts to lead, for the recovery of the United States and for the making of the Anglo-Saxon race but one empire. My father, Billy, an inner-city Chicago kid, received this scholarship, enabling William to be the first black partner in San Diego County and then a federal judge. In his courtroom, a defendant named James Brown came to defend his case. My father looked at him and said, "James Brown, huh? Well, where's your new bag?" The courtroom burst into laughter. Billy's humor always helped William put others at ease. He also wears dope-ass motherfucking bow ties, his interpretation of Cliff Huxtable's sweater. My mother Dana is a real Claire-level queen, an artist. Every meal, wall, outfit is pure, unfiltered expression. I remember her picking me up from school wearing a floor-length bejeweled caftan and limited edition Karl Lagerfeld glasses, blasting Benny and the Jets and our teal Saab. All I wanted was for her to wear holiday-themed sweaters and light-up pins like my teachers and the other moms. But I credit her stunning example and powerful aesthetic for my bougie, fancy bitch ass that likes nice shit. Sue me. I knew not to be arrogant about my Huxtable-like privilege, because I always felt like guests in these worlds. And while I was wrapped in silk, I was made equally aware of my relationship with cotton. Our jobs as tokens are to serve as ambassadors of our race, knowing that many will hang attributes to black skin after interacting with one of us. Our job is to carry blackness with dignity, intelligence, and grace, as our grandparents and parents have. We do not speak for ourselves. We speak, behave, and carry ourselves with a dignity that honors the innocent blood of those who came before us, fought for my opportunity to not just stand in this room, but stand at the front of this room. We must represent our people well, always. There will be many a time when you may want to cry or laugh louder, or times in which your body is filled with so much fucking rage. But even when every part of you is screaming, you smile, say thank you, and sometimes, why yes, I can certainly handle more. My parents exposed us to everything: museums, ballets, opera, swimming pools, piano camp, and there I would be, 2 Afro puffs in a room filled with high ponytails. And those ones could get wet. My mother and father prayed every day for a chocolate brown baby girl who would love the ocean and play the piano better than Vladimir Horowitz. They very much wanted a dark brown baby girl, in some parts of the world, the most unwanted thing. They were going to raise her to love herself, even if that sent me kicking and screaming, of which I am skilled. Our arguments over my hair being the worst. I had fucking wool instead of long flowing hair. Every time we went to the beauty supply store to re-up on my natural hair care products, I whined over the Just For Me box. A relaxer designed for young girls. I thought, if only I too could have a side ponytail, surely Zach Morris would fall in love with me then. My mother fought with me daily, a battle of which I'm grateful for. She fought to keep me black. She made me grapple with myself until I saw my features for what they are, beautiful. I learned to not shy away from environments in which I was different, and come my sophomore year of high school, she found another opportunity for me to harness my token power. She became drawn to the whitest sport in the world, threading our love of water within it, rowing. My mother signed us up for a free class at the Mission Bay Aquatic Center, and a week later, I joined San Diego Rowing Club's junior team. My novice year wasn't too bad. I had the old pains of, I'm not right, but I made a few solid friends, lost some LBs, and even was being eyed for varsity. Novice year felt like kindergarten, safe, complimentary, and fun, but my varsity year resembled middle school. All of these teenagers, and unlike novice year, there were actual boys here. What the fuck? I went to an all-girls school, and my friends and I had real contests to see who could grow their leg hair the longest in the winter. I did not do teenage boys in both ways. I have always hated spending time socializing with my peer group when guys were present. The girls became catty and the boys imbeciles. I have always been a 60-year-old woman chain smoking in a chaise lounge, preferring to hang out with my parents versus the peers. So there I was, a 60-year-old colored girl who is now team captain of the varsity team. Unlike other sports, crew is all year long, August through May. Practice is 6 days a week, sometimes 4 a.m. practice before school and 4 p.m. after school. We had regattas, or races, at least once a month, sometimes twice. Regattas take over the whole weekend. You wake up at 2 a.m., get to Long Beach by 4, prepare the boats, assemble the tracks, unload the giant truck, race all day, sometimes 4 races, 1.5 miles each, sometimes 3.7 miles each, then break down each boat. The best part about racing was I knew my parents would take me to In-N-Out after. I was racing harder, not to improve my time, but to the tray of animal fries that were waiting for me once I finished. I loved late night rows, chasing the rare moment when the boat is perfectly balanced and the oars don't touch the water until all 8 people drop them in together and pull with raw power. My most favorite memories are of the late night rows during red tide, which came frequently during late spring. Every time our oars touched and plopped into the bay, hypnotic liqueur-colored water would trail behind us. These bliss-filled moments accounted for 10% of my experience rowing. The other 90% was a test in surviving the social realms. The JV and varsity teams were comprised of kids who had a second chance at popularity. In their respective high schools, they were somewhere in the middle, but at crew, they had the chance to be the belles of the ball, the hot guy, so their propensity for cruelty was much stronger, because they had something to prove, mostly to themselves. Issues on land always translated to issues on water. The person responsible for buffing out our issues was varsity coach Gregory Trail Logat. He did not live up to the name Trail. Trail insinuates adventure, color, nature. He was more like a barren desert than a trail. Everyone has had a manager whose technical skills led them to a promotion, but they are completely void of emotional intelligence and people skills. That was Greg. A great rower, technically skilled, but not capable of leading. The last person with whom one should entrust the self-esteem of the most vulnerable demographic, teenage girls. He turned a blind eye to the fact that he had the rare opportunity to use his voice to protect, encourage, or improve the sheep under his watch. Even worse, he sometimes, however discreetly, participated in excluding the weaker, slower, dorkier kids on the team. Dorky kids like Sarah. Her government name was Sarah, but she went by Haruka, after a Japanese anime character. She refused to shave her legs, had a bowl haircut, and to make matters worse, she looked exactly like the stereotypical character of a harsh German masseuse. There's always that one kid that just can't process anger. They heave when they're frustrated, having a literal tantrum. That was Haruka. She had weekly explosions, and truthfully, many of them were warranted. She expressed her frustration at people's shiftiness and bullying, while the rest of us hid it. When red-faced Haruka cried and stormed off, everyone either laughed or rolled their eyes. Greg, frustrated by a need to use empathy, compassion, or kindness, would send me after her, to do his fucking job of coaching. Come my second year on varsity, a kid standing at 6'7" joined the team. Ryan Stute. He wore black eyeliner, a spiked collar. His box-dyed, jet black hair resembled a bob. It was rumored last year, his novice year, that he was a Nazi and a proud racist. Every time I walked by him, I felt a chill. His darkness terrified me. I made sure to always contort myself around him, to walk around him versus next to him. It was fall. We were a few months into the season. We had just carried the boats in and were washing them down. Only 30 more minutes until I can go home. Only 7 more months until I'm done, I thought. Ryan was picking on the little novice kid, a freshman who was a coxswain, coming in around 90 pounds. He was dangling his shoe in the air, laughing and watching his little minion struggle. The blonde curly-haired kid laughed, trying to pass it off that he was in on the joke, but we all knew better. The next 30 seconds are a blur. My boatmate swirled around me, pushing me forward, encouraging me to defend this kid. You're the team captain, Sky. Make him stop. Go. Before I could formulate an answer, I was standing before him. I had to force each word out. My voice cracked. Return his shoe now. He paused, looking at me coolly. What the fuck did you say? Fuck. I try harder, firmer, standing taller. I said, give him his shoe now. What the fuck is it to you, bitch? My boatmates ushered me away, telling him off. Smart move, jackass, telling off the team captain. I went home trembling. He would have hit me, possibly worse. If this had been the 50s, 60s, 70s, fuck it. If there were fewer people around, he would have hit me, possibly worse. I went home and did what every respectable teenager in 2003 did. I logged onto my AOL account. Screen name, Afros Forever, 04. And Moti, my longtime sister and the only other black chick on the team, forwarded Ryan's away message. She warns me, preps me to stay calm, as allies do. I open it. This bitch tried to step to me today. I will fucking kill her. I hate black people. I don't feel comfortable being at practice and am forced to tell my parents about what has happened. They make me tell Greg. Ryan is suspended for a few days. My dad and I are to have a meeting with Greg tomorrow. Ryan and his dad are to follow. My father and I sit down and have a real conversation in which he shares his horrific experience of being chased by an angry mob for going to the beach with my grandmother. He reminds me that it is my duty to serve as an extension of Christ, he says, to forgive and to love. Greg tells me it's my choice to kick Ryan off the team or let him stay. I'm doing his job again. There's no space for me to react the way I feel called to. I must take on the burden of my people before me, lift my head, show up the next day, and extend undeserved grace. People sing hymns of joy during beatings because it's the boldest act of defiance. You can take my body, but you can't take my joy. So I sang the hymn as loudly as I could, and I let Ryan stay on the team. My father follows with, Ryan stays on one condition. He is to be treated as an equal, the same as everyone else. He is not to be an outcast. Greg nods his head. Ryan comes back to practice, and Greg sends the men's and women's team on a 5-mile run. Ryan breezes past me. My run turned into a jog, and then a walk. The weight of my blackness was too heavy. Greg said nothing to me about what had transpired. My teammates had moved on. The novelty of gossip had worn off. I'm not a rower anymore. I don't want to be. My parents, being the ambassadors they are, forced me to honor my commitment to the team. So I fought back. I didn't speak to them. 1 day, then 5, then 7, not one word. My silence was loud and clear. My parents finally let me quit. My silence towards my parents was the first time I really mustered womanly courage. I stood up for myself, boasting the audacious truth that I knew what was best for me, better than my peers, coach, or parents. The first time I sang a hymn in the face of ugly, the first time I placed myself above the duty of ambassadorship, the first time I said, this isn't right, versus, I'm not right. The first time I deserved the title of Black woman. The first time was Skyler